I can hear every word y'all were saying up there, too.
What was it like being in that atmosphere today?
Oh, it's kind of like, instructional league, Gulf Coast League, Arizona League, what do they call it, the Gulf Roast League and the Arizona Fire League. It's different. It's different. I was real proud of our guys, their concentration level. And we talked a little bit in the advanced meeting today about, every game's an opportunity to get closer to our goal regardless of the circumstances. They really played well.
Well, given everything that's gone on, and Ubaldo's been waiting a few days to pitch, I mean, how proud are you of the job he was able to do?
Well, it's so hard. Things like this, you get a few rainouts or whatever, and your mechanics get tested. The guys that are together mechanically don't have as much of adjustment. And, Gauze hadn't pitched in 6 days. I didn't want him to go 8 because if they don't pitch today, you got to add 2 to it. And Zach would have been 5 days, and we still got, I think, 3 guys down there. I wish I could have pitched today, but Ubaldo wouldn't let us. You're so careful about changing the karma of that game with the way he's pitching. I actually thought he had struck out LaRoche on that comebacker, but just missed. But Ubi looked like he had been on the 5-man rotation for about 3 or 4 months, so it really bodes well for where he is mechanically.
You talked before the game about whether your pitchers could hear the bullpen phone rankings, things
I tested it out because we always call before the game, the replay and that one, and then they call me back to make sure they're working, especially some of these places we go, and I could hear it ring from our dugout.
Was there anything else that happened in the game that sort of surreal like that?
I think everybody was real careful about what they said out of the dugout because everybody on the field could hear it, the umpires and them.
Well, I'm a resident from here. I grew up in the neighborhoods that everything is happening. Mm-hmm. Just what advice would you give to the young black males in the city? Because you're well respected in that area.
Well, I talk to a lot of times. You hear people try to weigh in on things that they really don't know anything about. I tell guys all the time when they talk about, I've never been black, okay? So I don't know. I can't put myself there. I've never been, faced the challenges that they face, okay? So I understand the emotion, but I don't, I can't. It's a pet peeve of mine when somebody says, well, I know what they're feeling. Why don't they do this? Why doesn't somebody do that? You have never been black, okay? So just slow down a little bit. But, I try not to get involved in something that I don't know about. But I do know that it's something that is very passionate, something that I am with my upbringing that it bothers me and it bothers everybody else. But, I understand, we have made quite a statement as a city, some good, some bad. But now let's get on with taking the statements we've made and creating it positive. I want to be we talk to players, I want to be a rallying force for our city, and it doesn't mean necessarily playing good baseball. It just means, everything we can do there's some things I don't want to be normal. You know what I mean? I don't. I want us to learn from some stuff that's going on both sides of it. And none of us, I could talk about it for hours, but, that's how I feel about it.
Well, you always talk about taking in the moment, and you're always very observant of everything that goes on in the game. And that were you?
It's a good anthem. That was quick.
But I mean, were you? but how once the game started, how cognizant were you that there was nobody here?
That would be pretty self-incriminating. I can't win answering that question. It was still baseball between the lines. It was still that, you're aware of now, there's so many things that cross your mind. Some of the altercations we've had early in the season, how much of it, I was thinking, how much of that is feed off of crowd reaction? Would we have had those same altercations if there wasn't? But thank goodness they are. And it makes you realize, it reminded me a little bit of the, some of the pictures you saw during the strike year of empty stadiums.
But
there's a lot of thoughts that go through your head.
But the irony of the situation today was that no one was in the stadium, but the world was watching. What, as a manager of the team, I know you're focused in the game on what's going on, but now looking back on them, all the people that are watching the highlight films, seeing it outside of the city, seeing it around the country, even farther beyond than that, what would you want them to take from watching your team today in an empty stadium?
That's a good question. Just the, everything in life, this too shall pass. None of us would like to have our lives judged. You've heard me say by our worst decision, but it's something's bad if you keep repeating it. You're doomed to that, if the history. And, you just like to see, where is the starting point? We hope they take out of it the starting point for our city. That maybe, if nothing else, the curfew has put us in a challenge to play games, period, at night. So that's why we had to move the game. We had to move the game not only to 2 o'clock, but to Tampa, as y'all well know. But I think that's what you'd like to say, okay, hopefully maybe that's a little too self-absorbed to think that could happen. But, it's kind of like when in 95 we went to the playoffs in Seattle, and after the strike year, and everybody talked about that being a turning point for bringing people back to the game after the strike. This is a lot more serious to me than a baseball strike. So that's what I'd hope would happen.
Look, you talked about feeding off the crowd in the past as far as, like during the playoffs and that kind of stuff, and really how you can kind of feel how palpable it is. How much did you and your players miss that? How much did maybe a lack of buzz was obvious to you? Once the game got started and the game, I know coming up the runway and walking out, it was like, you're coming out for batting practice a little bit. Like when we hit here, nobody's in yet. And then you realize that, you're a few minutes away from playing a Major League Baseball game that's going to count, So, you tried to stay, talking to the players, you try to stay focused in the competition. And the competition of us trying to get selfishly to where we want to be at the end of the season. But you also, I talked to them about the people going to be sitting around our city. I understand the country and whatever, but sitting around our city watching this game. How many things have really gone on normal here in the last few days in our society? So, that's kind of where I took out of it.
What do you think of that group of fans beyond the outfield?
Well, they were heard. They were heard. It's kind of delayed reaction. Delman had the funniest line. I guess they hadn't seen the batting order. When he came up to hit in the first inning, they were screaming like it was Adam Jones. I'll let you guys ask him the question because he can answer it better than I should.
What was the reaction like in the dugout? Chris really gets into that ball in the first inning all the way to Utah Street. What was it like to see a ball hit that hard by one of your guys here and then hear nothing as it was traveling?
I didn't really think about it. I was hoping it'd stay fair and we get 3 ducats on the board. You like to have that reaction at home. We're going into another situation where there probably won't be many people there, but this time it's on the road. You are your motivator. You got to be self-motivated. But like I said, it's a small thing. We don't feel like we sacrificed anything. In terms of baseball in the season and ability to win the game, at the end of the day, we're both playing in the same environment, and we're going to be playing in similar environment tomorrow. We're going to, they're asking me whether we're going to wear white pants or gray, whether or not we were going to hit in the home slot or the visiting slot. Are we going to set the starting times? Are they going to set the starting times? I never had so many questions I never answered before. But
Good to hear Gary Thorne.
no, and that's hard to not do. Gary's got a great voice. He got a great voice. Did y'all? I didn't.
When the home run, David home run, you could hear him, goodbye. And when normally he would have been drowned out.
It'd be interesting to see the what do you call it? The viewership ratings. I'm telling you, it's like that. Was it Al DeRogatis? Who was it that did the game without any sound? And then
Yeah.
And why didn't they keep doing that? Why was that a bad?
It was horrible.
It was bad?
Yeah.
What do you think was bad about it?
You couldn't follow it. You followed the game, but it didn't really give you any excitement whatsoever.
Any excitement?
Yeah.
Oh.
On TV.
You wouldn't like watching a game with me at the house then. I don't have the volume on. Unless it was Keith Jackson, I would listen to him. But we good? All right, thank y'all. Hey.